Just after my dad's death in 2001, the family of his second cousin contacted me to express their sympathy. I had only a vague recollection of my family mentioning these people when I was a kid, but I figured it couldn't hurt to connect with this crew. So in 2005, we Minnesota Pagitts headed south to meet the Missouri contingent. As wonderful it was to connect with them, it was also incredibly strange. They kind of looked like me and even sounded a bit like me in spite of their slight Missouri twang. My kids, who never had cousins, were introduced to a whole family worth of them. But the strangest moment came when my dad's cousin showed me some of the research they had done on the Pagitt family. He handed me a placard that in short explained the origins of our family name. It traced our name back to 1623, and at the bottom it read, "The ancient family motto for this distinguished family was, per il suo contrario." I didn't know Italian, but recognized the word contrario. I was stunned. Could it be that my family, even back in the early 1600s, had been contrarians? That very real possibility felt like a confirmation that my contrarian nature was somehow built into me. As soon as we got home, I got online and I started searching for the meaning of the motto. Roughly translated, it means those who are contrarians, or for its contrary. People often think of contrarians as cynical, but I believe that we're just the opposite. We're accused of playing the devil's advocate, or of being provocative just for the sake of it. But to me, being contrarian means holding out hope when others have stopped hoping. It means looking past the limitations and imagining the possibilities. It means rethinking ideas that have been ignored or dismissed in the past. I looked at the translation and I knew that I wasn't just a contrarian. I was contrarian carrying on the family heritage of wondering, questioning, and imagining. Well, these contrarian impulses don't always go over so well in my faith family. Religion, by its very nature, tends to be conservative, not just in the political or theological sense, but in the truest sense of the word, to conserve something. Religion is often a tool for preserving a set of beliefs, ideas, and behaviors. That preservation necessitates a stance of protection, of warding off any change that threatens those beliefs. The stickler is that Christianity doesn't make a very good religion. Christianity is not a faith of conservation and preservation. It's a faith of creation, participation, movement, and change. For conservation to happen, something needs to be stopped. Something needs to be limited. Something needs to be ignored. And too often that something is the unstoppable, unlimited, impossible to ignore activity of God in the world today. That's why things get rough for a contrarian. Contrarians find life in hopeful possibilities. We tend to see what could be as so much more interesting than what has been. It's natural for us to want to raise our hand after the final amen has been said. We're convinced that when we stop asking questions, when we turn away from a set of facts or an idea screaming to be considered, that's when things really fall apart. We're not trying to cause trouble. We're trying to stay out of it. Like other families, established Christianity has a particular way of talking and eating and celebrating. It has a history and memories and patterns and assumptions that have all set it on a certain course. And just as families have their crazy aunts that no one wants to talk about, the church family has its no-talk rules to let everyone know what is and isn't open for discussion. It has set rules about who gets to talk and who gets to listen. Well, because of my personality, I crashed into these rules as soon as I became a part of the family. I was like the kid who blurts out the family secrets at Grandma and Grandpa's 50th anniversary party. But please don't misunderstand me here. I love my faith. I believe that living in the way of Jesus is the way that humanity will embrace peace and justice, mercy, compassion, and love. I've seen my fellow Christian graciously, selflessly caring for the least among us. I've seen Christians who have found ways to live at peace with each other and in harmony with God. I have seen Christians following Jesus' command that we are to love others as we love ourselves, even when that love involves great sacrifice. But while Christianity has given so much to the world, it too often carries with it a message a belief system that can be hard to believe. It too often creates a culture that is unintentionally hurtful to far too many people. And I have the tendency to climb on my high horse of righteous opinion and make the statements that imply, sometimes not very subtly, that Christianity is a stagnant, exclusive club for those who are satisfied with ill-fitting answers meant for issues of a different age. But when I come to my senses, I'm convinced that if I'm ever going to feel like I truly belong to this family, if I'm ever going to live out the faith that I profess in any kind of honest way, then I have a responsibility to break the no-talk rules and say what I believe the good news is and has been all along. I am as responsible for my faith. I am as responsible as anyone for the faith I profess. If I want to be a full participant in Christianity, then I need to stop complaining about the beliefs articulated by others and make my contribution instead. In doing so, I'm following the true legacy of this family. For Christianity has always been a living faith, one presented in hundreds and even thousands of different ways around the world and throughout the ages. It has always been the dynamic interplay between the Spirit of God and the lives and cultures of people. It is meant to be a real-life journey of discovery, wondering, answering, and questioning. This book is an articulation of that process. It's the expression of my desire for a Christianity that makes sense in the world in which we live. A Christianity that's not afraid of the questions or resists the answers, regardless of where they lead. It is my attempt to embrace a faith that is expansive, growing, and beautiful. One in which God is active and alive and involved in all of life. Because I believe in a Christianity where no one is left out and no one is left behind. Where humanity participates with God in the redemption of the world. Where sin is more than a legal problem to be judged, but a relational problem that can be healed. Where we pursue harmony centered on Jesus the Messiah, the Jew, whose life, death, and resurrection allow us to live well with God. Where the Bible draws us into a story of life and healing. Where we can find hope for this life and life ever after. Where love is alive and where love drives out fear. Where love propels us toward lives lived for the betterment of the world. This Christian family will always include people who are satisfied with the way that things are, and people who want to see new possibilities come to life. And we're all better off because of the mix. No one should be removed from the family simply for wanting the benefits that come with conservation. And no one should be removed for wanting to move forward as the faithful have always done. Toward that end, this book is a call or a recall for those who believe the gospel of Jesus is an invitation for all people to live a dynamic faith as full members of the family, joining in the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of God for the world, no matter what kind of family they come from. So. Amen. Yeah, thank you.
We have